Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good late afternoon, good night, good deep night, wherever you are.
Gute Nacht. How are you?
How's it going, Toufii? What's going on?
Bonsoir.
So what?
Well, we're alive and well, and super excited to be coming into this new year with a new lot of things coming all together, and I'm quite certain people they're enthused about some of the overall global news, and it's precisely things of how it's coming all nicely together for from timing perspective for the things that we've been working so hard towards. So yeah, quite exciting to be here and to be back into this week in Hypercycle. Hopefully we can get it back into this week as opposed to this month or this year or whatnot.
This quarter, this quarter in Hypercycle.
Right.
So
Yeah, no, I really think, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, on a lot of people's minds, because we hear from people every single day when Brandon and I do our show and things like that. And there's there's the question that you get asked 47 times a day. And that is, when would the kind of more understandable compute era roll out where people's node factories will be earning revenue for performing various AI related tasks? But
right, amazing topic. Let's dig deep into that.
Well, and I think today that you have to bring us up to basically what happened over the last 9 months, as much as you can say, so that people understand where we are and why we are.
Yeah, no, I think it's we're gonna say a lot of things, and then more things people would find in the subsequent 9 months, and it's kind of like 9 months ago we were so close to be releasing a lot of like the cool stuff, and then we got hit sideways with this whole like ASI thing, which seemed to be quite obvious that within our own house, people, they like to take the tokens and do all kind of games and play with it, while we the core contributors and most importantly the community, a few thousand solid people, that they are really using those pieces to kind of put the nodes and so on and so forth. They feel like that's what it's there for. But while others, they just want to play with tokens and try to sell and reduce it. They're kind of like selling raw material in open markets and whatnot. But at the same time, it kind of got us to very good spot. In about 3 months, we realized that we need to start diverting and caring for the essentials, given that we're building infrastructure for AI, for the internet of AI, for everybody. Perhaps that diversion can be essential, so we're not having to you don't want to like run your entire vehicle with certain people that they're not rowing in the same direction, so you want to be everybody's pushing in that direction. So in September we decided to kind of like have this thing that it's fork, and a lot of people, they read about it in the news, and how we've got like the Hypercycle squared. We're doubling down Hypercycle, calling it Hypercycle squared. Well, the others, they want to call it whatever it is, just because they really see things differently when it comes to tokens or whatnot. What we care about the most is the community, the supporters, the clients, all of the people that we call them partners. So we then took the last 60 days to work on a phenomenal plan, which is called the Project C8, and this is what people are going to enjoy over the next 9 months. So yeah, so that's coming nicely together, and Project C8 is it will incorporate a lot of elements that people heard about them here and there. They heard some rumors about, what, they invested in this like quantum company. What does that do? How about whatever it does, you own the node, in whatever license that thing does, you own it too. You don't have to pay for it because you own the node. You're one of us. So well, of course, the externals, they will be paying for licenses and whatnot. So it's kind of like
how would we explain C8 to someone that was really new to the ecosystem, that didn't really, they had a very flimsy grasp of
Very good. Very good. Very good. So Project C8 is for existing people and not for new people. What new people they need to know is that there's a bunch of software that this company put together, that it's we refer to it, all of us, as the Hypercycle network node, which is the factory of nodes. And all they have to know, in fact, many of our presentations that it goes external, describing Project C8, it doesn't even mention C8. It talks about the elements of what they are buying into that software. Somebody wants to buy software. Why do they want to buy it? Well, maybe because they have AI, they want to increase the revenue with that AI. Well, they want to increase the revenue of that AI. Do they want additional components, such as like the quantum machine that gives them access to a lot of computing center? Maybe, maybe not. So if they want, they can add. It's kind of all the bells and whistles. You want Emifier? What's Emifier? People heard about Emifier a little bit. Emifier is the ability to point at any AI that exists on this planet and spend, 30 minutes instead of 30 hours to deploy it into your AIM. And of course, here I'm talking to the operator, not the owner. Like, remember, if you're owning the thing, you need somebody to operate it. That operator, instead of spending 30 hours of consulting fees to kind of like putting all of that AI into your thing, they can do it in 30 minutes using Emifier. So do you want Emifier software as part of your node or not? That's the new person, that's what they need to know. Now, in the very first 30 days of Project C8, we're locking all the components of HYPC in the very lowest level, the 1024, and we're saying this is going to be $400 for the next 30 days. And from that point onwards, people, they will start seeing those additional components. Oh, oops, now I have to pay for Emifier. The first 30 days, they don't have to. They shouldn't get it like the existing guys. But it's going to be like about $400, which is a little bit higher than what it is now. But it's no longer going to be that you can buy this, you can buy that, put them together. It's going to be $400 going by adding the additional components with the floor price of $2,000 by having the additional components embedded into it. Now, if you want to take those additional components on today's price, it is $2,000 in 9 months. That's why we're saying it's a floor price. Anyone in the economy of the world today would tell you that, like, wait a second. But by the time you're adding all of these things, you're calculating today's value, that much demand on those assets is likely to be 9,000, 10,000, whatnot. Those are all speculations. I want the floor. The floor price is 2,000. Great. People are happy getting all of those components.
So to reduce all this, these are a series of upgrades. Is C8 the whole host of these upgrades, or is it the first of many upgrades that are coming to existing node factory owners?
This is everything we can get our hands off that we put at our own nodes, on my mother's nodes. I want every one of us to kind of have them without having to feel that they have to pay for those things. So that's the beauty of this existing project C8, and it's taking care of the internal folks. But I still want to answer the first question that you've asked, when it's compute, because I think the multiplier at the end of the day, the multiplier is compute. When you have a node, you gotta you whether you have a node yourself or you have a node factory. If you have a node factory, you're gonna make a bunch of those nodes. If you have a node, well, you can connect it to some AI. What you do with that, you want to make sure that when you connect it to that AI, that it's actually adding more revenue to that AI. So that's the raison d'etre of everything that we're here for, right? So so that's, of course, that's one side of it, and without that, people, they wouldn't want to be part of this this project. The other part, of course, you can think about it that if you are AI and you've got shitloads of money, such as a lot of big companies, whatnot, you just want your AI to be smarter. You plug this thing to, okay? So now, of course, there's the two extremes of the world, and there's but the vast majority, they're kind of in the middle. You want your AI to get smarter sometimes, and you want some other times to make money. Okay, so why am I saying this right here, right now, Nick? Because exactly 1 year ago was set up to be the time to deploy something. At the time, we didn't mention the name. Right now, I can tell you the name because we don't care if people find out the name, because we're no longer going to do this. And it was an $80 million gaming company, 80 million users gaming company. It's called Wombo. And we talked to the management team. We were connected by Amir, one of our guys. And in October, November, we started looking, oh, great, we're going to plug them. The compute's going to be there on people's nodes and all of these things. If we had done that, here's what would happen. The node that would have been plugged into this, first of all, it would have taken, there was no amifier, would have taken a lot of time, and the CTO of that company would be like, yeah, it got plugged in, but it's like it took a lot of work. That's the one negative flag. I should have said that. But then the other one, which people would have felt it right now more than ever, it would be that, okay, so that thing is done AI. We plug this thing into it. Has there been demand to that specific AI from other AI engines? And the answer is no. And that would have been bad news. Bad news. Instead, what did we do? We did is that with Amifier today, anyone that is going to play around with Amifier, if you're an owner, you're probably not going to do it, but you're an operator, you're probably going to do it. An owner and operator also would do it. So they would go to the Amifier, be like, what did these guys do with Amifier? With Amifier, 40 of the top AIs that you can find out there in the world, they have already been deployed for you. You just click and drag, click and drag. Name it. You want Claude 3.5, it's already been deployed. You want Llama, it's already been deployed. So those are extremely powerful and in a lot of demand, as opposed to taking components from Wombo just because they had a lot of users or whatnot. So we were glad we went in that direction. What we aren't glad of is that we've announced that, oh yeah, we're gonna go compute. It's kind of more like, we're excited, we're gonna plug into this computer, whatnot. And of course, the announcement at the time, we made it on behalf of many of our clients and partners, such as HyperPG at the time. But look, we remained authentic with ourselves. What are we here for? Are we here to add revenue to any AI that exists out there, or potentially add revenue to any AI? And the answer is yes. Then let's do this instead of like just plug in one single thing called, the Wombo library that nobody would have used anyway. So look, and I'm saying nobody, maybe somebody would have, but so far in the last year, there was no indication from any other AI engine that would have been using it. But if you look at Claude 3.5, we look at...
Is this kind of like saying, in the future, these kinds of clients will be great, but as that kind of frontier, that first big client, it wouldn't make sense because there wouldn't be enough demand. So the node factory owners really wouldn't be receiving much revenue, and we don't want to roll out with something that's not quite good. We want to roll out with something that's got a lot more demand on it so that people can participate. It's
right.
kind of like that, right? Like
absolutely.
In the future, you could imagine taking a client like that and plugging them in, and there'd be value.
Absolutely. So look, I mean, you would want again the metaphor that we've used on what is the hypercycle computation node. That's kind of like taking an ISP, internet service provider, and providing it to a Homo sapien instead of providing it to an AI agent. Okay, so that's great. So if you do provide it to a Homo sapien, are you providing it to a Homo sapien who's either knowledgeable or extremely rich? Otherwise, they're just going to be, nobody's going to need them. They're not knowledgeable and they're not rich. So it's like, why it's not going to benefit the network much, right? So we want to be very, very picky and choosy in the very early days. And that's why those 40 plus were picked and chosen. And yesterday, Jack, for example, demoed one of those 40. He demoed how you can use USDC to kind of channel money into your node and what. I'm not sure if you got the chance to see it. Did you get a chance to see that all? So yeah, he had like a maybe 15-minute video. It is on the Hypercycle YouTube channel, and it shows like how like the actual money flows. Because they want to know like from revenue perspective, how does the money flow? Because there's two components. The Hypercycle node owner, the factory owner, what they understand, what the rest of the world don't, is that when you're generating revenue, you're also enabling your ability to have the producing nodes and increasing that wealth creation that otherwise you wouldn't be partaking with if you were to be doing just distributed compute or whatnot. So effectively, if you're generating, let's say, $10 per node per month, that's 120 per year. That means that asset is increased, according to private equity folks, by $1,000 and $200. You have 1,000 of those. That's great. That's increased by $1 million, whatnot. So effectively, that's according to private equity, by the way, folks. When they take your recurring revenue and then they multiply it by 10x. So all of that belongs to the node owner, the factory owner. That's great. The revenue, they need to see how does the revenue work. Jack demoed that yesterday. It's like, here's how the USDC goes in, and here's how you fill your node. He pretends to be Alice, and he pretends to be Bob, let's say two machines. And then when Alice is requesting AI compute from Bob, how it finds Bob, and then how it ends up pinging Bob, how it gets the money flow, and then what comes back and what's the delta that ends up going to Bob. So that's that. But it's also, we're simplifying. There's a lot of cool things that are coming over the next few weeks, simplifying the ownership structure. You have the vast majority of people, they don't want to be dealing with RNS. Like we've noticed that 90% of our community, if you own a node, you just own a node. You're like, look, brother, I own a node. I'm not gonna have to give my shares of my node to my neighbor, whatnot. Why do I have to worry about this SNR? So then this asset that it's more like an advanced node factory is it came up a couple days ago internally, but it will be available externally. All of those things, Nick, node owners, well, just get them. Upgrade after upgrade after upgrade. No purchase necessary. You just get those things. This is great.
2025 is going to be a year of a lot of upgrades for the node factories that exist right now. Like if you have a factory right now, there's going to be a lot of upgrades coming over the next several months. Right.
Now, of course, if people, they get it later, they're not going to qualify for all of those cool things. We're just making sure that we're building a profitable business, and that's why those things are for sale, right?
Is there a cutoff date, for instance? So to be able to be the beneficiary or the recipient of these upgrades, do I need to have my tokens and my licenses married by a certain date?
Yes, of course. So the first 30 days of Project C8, beyond that, the components that they are being dropped will not make it unless people they're paying for those. But if they have them done in the first 30 days, now the start of Project C8 will indicate that the combination of the HYPC and the node together, they will be sold together from that point on. And then when they are being sold together, it would set a certain floor price, which means that the license always kind of goes up and down initially, just like to make sure that it has the floor price of, like, let's say $400 of those two things together. And then after the 30 days, then it will go on a trajectory to add the additional components. By adding additional components, they're going to be costing more, but by adding those additional components, it will go all the way. So it's sold as a package for a floor price of like $2,000. Of course, somebody who owns a node, they're just getting those upgrades. They're not getting those packages in a way that they have to.
What is the deadline for people to marry their tokens to their licenses to benefit from all this?
My own brother, who he asked that same question, and I said, look, we're gonna treat everybody fairly and equally. Like I would do as soon as possible, because the moment folks, they come to me and tell me we're ready to start with the project state, because you will see why we're waiting. We're waiting for certain confirmation, and then when that moment comes, we're gonna say, okay, this is start date with the 30 days, but that start date is gonna cost him already more than what he's costing him today to kind of put them together. So he's like, so I'm like, so what are you waiting for, Daniel? Do it. He's like, okay, fine, I'll do it.
So are we saying, is this a days thing or a weeks thing or a months thing? And then that would initiate the final 30 days deadline.
If you're ready this Friday, we would. Otherwise, it would be next Monday. I've been really pushing hard to start it this January. Here's why, Nick, because when you count the 200 days, then it will be finished at some point in August, and then that way we can have September as the day as the time that we're saying that this is the launch of the nodes. What do we mean by that? You're a node factory. If you're producing nodes, you want to be able to your production, the eggs of your chicken or whatever, the fruition of your trees. You want to be able to have a certain floor price at the time, and B, market for it, C, some liquidity, D, certain proofs that it's like you buy this thing, it has some revenue. Some people, they get $100 a month, maybe they get $10. You want to have all of those elements in September. So we're trying to really push it in January, but like I said earlier, I learned the hard way not to kind of set like in stone specific date, but it's as soon as possible. We have to push as soon as possible.
So let's say as soon as possible is a week from now or whatever, just as an imaginary theoretical. People would then have 30 days to marry tokens to licenses to participate. That's right?
Yes, correct. And that's if they have them already. And if they don't, then they're gonna have to get that license during that 30 days.
Right.
The aggregate of both is the floor price of what we haven't decided on yet. But the last numbers that the team came to me, they said $400, which is already a little bit more than what they would get it otherwise. But that would be the start, and then from there on we would go to the.
But again, so once this goes, it's not like people are going to wake up next Friday and be like, "Oh crud, I missed it." They're going to have a 30-day window at that point, which we will announce, and from that point,
of course,
30 days to glue things together and participate.
If they have the components, then yes, absolutely. But if they wait until then to get the components, this is when it becomes a little bit more potentially more expensive to kind of get that license and all of these things. But yeah, man, it's quite exciting. Like, look, what I really care about the most is people. They be honest. We're honest with ourselves and know that we stay consistent of what matter. And what matter is that all of those elements in that equation, they are components that you multiply them. So you can't have any one of them be zero, right? So you gotta have components to be as big as possible. And you can't have elements to be very ridiculously low. Like, we were introduced to a lot of companies saying like, hey, you want to get into this company? They give, they're getting some like computer whatnot, and when you look deep into it, you feel like, there isn't much demand of currently literally what I'm saying, what I said to you yesterday is like, there's these guys that came to me, like, look how many nodes that we've got. They have like 1 cent revenue. Like, what? Why would I want to do that? So it's like, but we really want to make sure that the multiplier is big enough. I mean, the math already shows that if your average is $10 per year node, you're doing really, really well, because you have factory, you get 1024. We're living in a time that if we have reached that point, we're gonna soar beyond it, because we have the most frictionless system, or the most efficient system into getting those transactions. And yeah, so super exciting. So I really think that the very hard part is that plug into the right AI, and we've installed most of them, so then we can enable node owners to just like click and drag and activate their nodes. In the project C8, one last thing that I would say that is extremely important for every owner is that there is no purchase necessary. You're getting those additional components, but there's one component that might require you to do something about, which is you'll see that some nodes are, if you delegate your node to somebody, if you put it in the pool, you will know that your node is, let's say, generating some revenue. That's great. That you'll be like, look, if I own the franchise of McDonald's, I don't want to be the one flipping burgers, for example. But the node operators, how can they become node operators? That's the thing that may require a little bit of work, which is the hiring or the taking that ticket and passing it on. So we are going to be providing you with a ticket that you can receive that ticket and say like, this is a $900 tuition for a course that is 9 hours for that gives a certified thing for professionals who can operate your node. There's another course that is 9 days for somebody who, and that one is very intensive. This is for prerequisites for software engineer, top notch, they're able to build code, whatnot. And the third one is not for the first and last one. They don't have a lot of prerequisites except that people that they've got some cognitive ability. Of course, you're not gonna send any operator, but that gives you the ticket that says, here's 9 weeks, boot camp that entities like MIT, they're charging $9,000 for, but you're getting that ticket saying like, I have this, I can give it to somebody that I care about, that they might say that they want to partake in that, in that wealth creation or whatnot. They may want to manage my node, they want to manage someone else's nodes, but you'll have the ability to give it to right person that you care about. They take it, they can use it anytime. There's many of those courses that have been released. The very first one, Robert Moore, he's, as you know, he's one of our PhDs and chief science officer at Hypercycle. He's a ex-professor at university and academic and super awesome. He's taking on the lead in that program. So many of the professors and partners that they will be partaking in that program, they are top-notch folks. So it would be nice that as a node owner, you feel like, look, I don't want to manage the details of this node. I'll just put it in the pool. Okay, fine, that's fine. But if you want to give it to somebody and hire somebody, it would be nice to know that that person is certified. So that certification program, instead of giving it to people we don't care about, we're going to be giving it to node owners. And of course, we're selling it too, because the educators need to make money. So all the money that is received goes to the educators. We're not here in business of schooling, but the ones that we are providing to the node owners, the node owner doesn't have to pay for them. But please give it to somebody who appreciate them and not take it, it's a free thing. It's not free. These things, they cost a lot of money. You don't believe me? Check out those.
So what you're describing here is just a set of educational courses that people could take or gift to somebody else to learn kind of the short, the medium, and then the full, robust nature of how to deploy and develop in the Hypercycle ecosystem.
Absolutely. And in any AI ecosystem, in fact, this is what Hypercycle is.
This is something where that knowledge,
this is what's going to happen in September. You're going to be known into the world that you own a node that is pluggable to any AI anywhere. So this isn't just some ecosystem that is just like the Cardano ecosystem or the Avalanche ecosystem or the Ethereum ecosystem. Believe me, 99% of the world, they don't care about those. They have their AI. They want their AI to access the best thing out there. Your node is pluggable anywhere, accessible by anybody. That's the beauty of those nodes. So it's a very powerful thing to cross that chasm. We need to cross it together so we can have a huge celebration coming beyond that. Because believe me, we get to that point, there is a lot of great things coming.
So, and right now, I'm sure everybody should know this, but if you have a node factory right now, you can actually go to Node Market and claim rewards. Everybody with a node factory, which is tokens plus license merged, they can actually claim rewards right now.
Right.
And then,
right.
but when will the first sliver of USDC cross those nodes? When do we're thinking September for that?
So remember, if you're putting it in a pool, that's the pool owner's problem. They're just going to give you 7.5% or 10%, whatever they give you. But if you want to be the operator of the pool, you're the operators, then you have to really worry about those things. Then you need to watch the video that Jack did yesterday. This stuff has already been flowing for quite some time, but the answer is not like yes, no. It depends on your node. It's not like, oh, I've got the node and then just like turn it on and it works. This isn't mining. This is how mining works. You just turn it on, you just do some mining. This is like you have a node. What compute is it running? Where is it running? How fast it is? How responsive? And all of these things. Tilling has been giving you your node a lot of great ratio, so it's likely to be the top of those. So it is a node operator who will be able to give you the details of how the USDC works. But if you want to see it in action working, you can watch the video that Jack did yesterday, or you can look at one of the releases that they were announced about 2 months ago for having the USDC flowing through the node.
I understand that. I'm saying, when can a node operator right now expect to actually see currency
today, yesterday,
accumulating?
Any node operator is able to plug the node today, and if they know how to plug it in a way that there is that is plugged in a place where there's like an actual demand flowing into it, they would be able to plug it today and receive revenue today. So this is more. It's kind of like,
yeah.
This is like you want to open a coffee shop. Who's going to buy the coffee, right? So this is
right. But
like make sure
the average person, I would say, in the ecosystem right now doesn't know where to go to monetize their node license, token marriage. So they don't know where to plug in to earn revenue on those node factories. I guess what I'm saying is, when will that be readily available? People will know where to go to plug in to start earning revenue on those node factories.
Okay, so the current pools, people, they know how they work. Any average person, you can say, I don't want to be dealing with this stuff. I'll put it in the pool and I'm locking it. I'll give you the pool owner, because you have a bunch of them. For if you don't want to put it for an extended period, you can put it on node market, collect 7.5%, and someone else is giving you that. But if you really want the pool operator to reap the entire benefit and you just want to collect your 10%, the current 10% is in HYPC. The new 10% that is also being rolled with Project C8 is an option to be in USDC. So if you, during the Project C8, if you feel like, I don't want this headache, these people, they're putting it to be floor price $2,000, great. I'm happy to put that and collect my $200 a year in USDC, and I go home. So that option would be available for anyone who's the owner. Now the operator, that's the part that would require a minimum 9 hours,
right?
9 days to 9. That's the one that they have to have the headache to worry about paying you that $200. The $200 is not going to come from vapor. It's just going to come from them figuring out how they're going to take that node, get revenue, increase the wealth and all of the stuff. Like they might figure out that they might transition, might resell Microsoft Compute. I don't know. Might resell Cloud 3.5 to Microsoft, or they might run some of the stuff that you guys heard the announcement a couple of days ago about the YMCA. That's another project that we talked about. Was supposed to be announced in Christmas, and this is the 64 million beneficiaries that they've built HyperY, and HyperY is all built on Hypercycle. So, for example, that's one of the avenues, Nick. So if you're an operator and you know that HyperY has been built on Hypercycle, and currently, let's say they have 1 million users, they're likely to be in Germany, while the entire Latin America, nobody's using it. Then what do? You probably start putting in some AI nodes, you start installing on your nodes translators like English to German, hoping that their AI is going to need that. You're probably going to have a crawler or an actually listener in your node to start seeing, like, as an operator, that requires a little bit of work to see, like, the million users that they have in Germany. Are they what kind of things are they requesting? Like, they're talking to this hyperY every day. Let's say those many users. When they're talking to this hyperY, they're using, let's say, Llama. Okay, if they're using Llama, that Llama, is it struggling with something? Is it using some additional direction? If it's using direction, then you probably want to have a direction engine. Is there a lot of people asking for facial recognition? Great, I'll have a facial recognition engine, and so on and so forth. It's kind of like you
Well,
own a Walmart. What do you want to sell in this Walmart? You want to
right.
sell products that a
Getting
lot of
that information could be dubious for regular people. So I guess my question would be,
absolutely.
where does a regular person go to figure out what the hell do I want on my node factory? Like, is there going to be a place I can go and I can say, okay, I live here. What are the best 20
Uh, yeah,
X's to put on my device to make the most revenue? Is there going to be like information resources like that in real time that people can use to know how to
I
kind of
would say
load their factories?
I would say the operator course will give you that. It's the minimum is 9 hours. So if I were to answer you that even in 9 minutes, I wouldn't give it justice.
Okay.
Like, it is something that, I mean, operating a node versus owning the node is kind of like you own the franchise of Starbucks that you're not the barista. Okay, you probably want to give it to someone to be that. They learn how to run the coffee shop and optimize it. The 9 hours is the basic one, but some owners, they may want to take that. But if people, they want the deeper one, technical folks, 9 days. Uh, Non-technical, but they really want deep, 9 weeks. The boot camp that is 9 weeks is likely to get people to make more money than the average undergrad. So 4 years or 9 weeks, which you see. So we're really we don't have the data for that, but by the end of Project Stage, we will have the data to
So I
report
guess
on.
the takeaway is a lot of people's questions will be answered on the other side of, at a minimum, the 9-day course. But the 9
Correct.
days, 9 week, probably it makes sense for people to spend a couple of months educating themselves into the nuances of the ecosystem, and then all of these questions that come up, they'll already have answers for them.
Right. Or you're gonna have the ticket, give it to someone you care about, because we're all surrounded by a lot of people that they tell us on a daily basis, oh, I'm not fortunate enough to kind of be a node owner. I don't have the chance. Well, yes, you do have the chance. If you have the time and some cognitive ability, then you do it, and then they can work for you. They can work for other node owners. Here's my last thing, Nick. I know we went a little bit over time with this because we wanted to have like an exciting intro, but my latest prediction is that the world's first trillionaire would be node operator. Let's wait and see.
Well, I hope that's me.
Well, you're gonna take that course then.
All right.
All right.
Well, let's wrap it up there. There's a lot more coming, but at this moment, in order to prepare for this, it would make sense if you've got licenses sitting around, it's time to go ahead and merge them with tokens to participate in this. But anyway,
absolutely.
Toufii, thank you very much for your time. We will do
Thank
this.
You, brother.
We'll do
Stay
this.
strong.
Yes,
we're gonna have the best baby in those 9 months. Wait for it.
The best
All
baby
right.
ever.
All right. Let's do it. All right. Take care.
I'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye. Bye.
Are you ready to take your investment game to the next level? Introducing Digital Investor, your ultimate guide to mastering the digital marketplace. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, Digital Investor brings you cutting-edge game theoretical strategies, expert insights, and real-time tips and tactics to analyze, evaluate, invest, and grow your wealth. Don't miss out on the digital revolution. Visit www.nickblacknex.com and start your journey with Digital Investor today.